It was a quiet Tuesday afternoon at the Special Response Team, SRT headquarters in the heart of Denver. The base, tucked away in a high-security area, was usually calm, with only the occasional call-out for tactical support or a hostage rescue. But that afternoon, a storm was brewing. SRT had recently recruited someone new, Mason Ironclad Cole, a former Army Special Forces soldier with a reputation for being tough as nails and having a brain that was just as lethal as his fists. His reputation among military circles was that of a tactician, someone who could stay calm in the face of chaos and outthink any opponent, no matter how strong or dangerous. Mason had just finished a routine training session, his mind sharp and focused as usual, when an unexpected and unusual disturbance echoed in the parking lot. The rumble of multiple motorcycles approached, and the sound grew louder, almost as if they were deliberately trying to make a statement. It wasn't a scheduled drill, but the noise was unmistakable, a pack of bikers. The bikers in question were notorious in the city, the Steel Vultures, a gang with a reputation for terrorizing locals, dealing in drugs, and pulling heists. They weren't just punks on bikes, but organized criminals who had been making life difficult for the local authorities. No one knew what brought them to the SRT HQ, but the situation was about to escalate fast. Mason, who had been standing outside with a few colleagues, glanced at the advancing group, sensing something was off. The bikers revved their engines and circled the SRT base, making a scene as if they were daring someone to challenge them. Their leader, a large, intimidating man named Grizzly, stepped off his bike and sauntered over to the front gate, puffing his chest out in an act of bravado. "What's this, soldier?" Grizzly's voice boomed. "Thought we'd come say hid to the heroes. You all think you can just play with people like us." Mason's colleagues were preparing for a confrontation, but Mason raised a hand, signaling them to stand down. He stepped forward, his boots solid against the ground, his gaze never wavering. The gang was used to scaring people, making them back down with their size and noise. But Mason wasn't intimidated. "You're on private property," Mason said calmly, sizing up Grizzly with cold, calculating eyes. "And you're disrupting a government facility. That's a federal offense." Grizzly sneered. "You think that means anything?" "We do what we want, soldier boy. We've taken over this block, and no one can stop us." Mason folded his arms, the corner of his mouth turning up slightly. "You came to the wrong place. See, this isn't just a government building. This is a place where we train to deal with people like you. It's not just about muscle, it's about brains and tactics. You're out of your depth here." A few of the bikers snickered at Mason's words, clearly thinking he was trying to talk his way out of a fight. Grizzly, however, was losing patience. He signaled his men, and the bikers revved their engines again, clearly preparing for a physical confrontation. But Mason was already 5 steps ahead. Without a word, he stepped back and pressed a discreet button on his belt. The gates to the compound silently closed, trapping the bikers inside. A few of them froze, realizing too late that they were now cut off. Mason's colleagues, hidden in strategic positions around the compound, were in place and ready. Grizzly, sensing something was wrong, charged forward, but Mason was already in motion. With swift precision, he grabbed Grizzly by the arm and twisted it behind his back, forcing him to the ground. "I don't want to fight you," Mason said, voice ice cold. "But if you try anything, I will make sure you regret it." The other bikers rushed toward Mason, but the SRT team members revealed themselves from their hidden positions, each one holding a non-lethal weapon. In seconds, they had the bikers surrounded, guns drawn but carefully controlled. "Listen up," Mason said to Grizzly, now kneeling on the ground with his hands cuffed behind his back. "You came to the wrong place, and you picked the wrong team to mess with. You might have muscle, but we have strategy. And that, my friend, is something you'll never beat." With Grizzly and his men quickly subdued and hauled away by local law enforcement, the tension that had hung in the air dissipated. The SRT team members exchanged glances of approval. No one had fired a shot, and yet the bikers were defeated without a single casualty. Mason, though, remained stone-faced. He wasn't looking for glory. He had just proven a point. Strength alone wasn't enough to win a fight. It was about staying calm, thinking ahead, and never underestimating your enemy. That night, as Mason sat in the quiet of his apartment, he thought about the bikers and their boldness. He knew that people like Grizzly and his gang wouldn't give up so easily. But Mason had something they didn't, the knowledge and experience to stay one step ahead. And he knew that when the bikers came back, and they would, he'd be ready.